Are you feeling scattered this holiday season, like you're being pulled in a million different directions and things aren't getting done? We should be experiencing peace and joy, not chaos and frustration during this season. Today, I'm going to give you 3 ways to help you find peace again in the midst of the chaos of the busy holidays as an entrepreneur. Hey, Mama, do you find yourself wishing you knew you were on the right path with your business, or wanting to know how to do it all as a work-at-home mom and entrepreneur? If you struggle with imposter syndrome, mom guilt, or fear of failure, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Alexia, a Christian mindset coach, passionate about teaching moms how to renew their minds to find success both in business and motherhood. You can overcome the negative thoughts holding you back from fully stepping into your calling. I know what it's like to worry your business will never work, to feel mom guilt every time you work on your business, to realize your mindset is hindering you, but not knowing how to change it in a Christ-centered way. I created the Mama with a Calling podcast to teach you how to use the powerful combination of God's Word and proven mindset strategies to help you break free from negative, paralyzing thoughts and gain clarity and confidence to go where God is leading you. As you step out of the old way of thinking and into God's way, you'll find more peace, joy, and purpose. Pop in those earbuds and get ready to let God work in you so He can work through you. Hey there, and welcome back to the Mama with a Calling podcast. I'm Alexia. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we get into the episode, I want to invite you to join me for a year-end reflection and intention training or event that I'm doing next week inside of the Facebook group. It's totally free. It'll be December 13th through the 15th, and I'm just going to put these videos in there. My goal is to go live, but with a child at home and homeschooling, I'm not going to make any promises about going live, but they will be in the group on December 13th to the 15th. So really looking back, this will be a chance to look back on the year, to reflect back and see how far you've come, what God has been doing, and to really look ahead to 2023. This is not going to be your classic, let's set all our goals for next year kind of a thing, but really the focus is going to be on reflecting, praising, thanking, acknowledging, seeking God, those kinds of things as we set our intentions, figure out where God is leading us for 2023, which you can then use for the goal setting that you want to do moving forward. So to join, just simply go to mamawithacalling.com/community to join the Facebook group. If you're already in there, it'll be fine. Just make sure you have notifications turned on. And I'm actually going to leave it in there until the end of the year, because I know I was talking to a friend and I was saying that my favorite time to do something like this is the last week of the year. In between Christmas and New Year, it feels like everything just pauses. And that's when I love to just sit and think and ponder like that. But maybe that's not you. Maybe it's now. Maybe it's next week. I'm not sure. So instead of deciding the perfect time, I was like, you know what? I'll just leave it up in the group for you all so that you can use that whenever you're ready. But if you want to come next week, December 13th through 15th, I'll go ahead and say that I'm going to go live and that I will be there to ask or answer any questions for you guys. And you can at least comment in the group and I'll be actively answering those. So again, mamawithacalling.com/community. So for today's episode, I'm talking about something that is happening to me actively. And the reason I'm doing that is because I've heard of so many other people say the same thing. So many other entrepreneur friends, moms that are going through the same thing. And that is feeling scattered during this busy season. So I've noticed that so many, including myself, that we're feeling tossed around by all the things going on right now with the busyness of the season. But when we were already an entrepreneur and busy with being a mom and all these things, this season of the holidays can feel extra chaotic, if that's even possible, which it is possible because I can feel it and I'm sure you can feel it too. And there's also this feeling that some of us will do this where we'll try to finish out the year strong and try to get things done on your list for your business that you didn't get to this year. But with less time already in your schedule because of all the other things happening, this can actually cause you to start feeling like you're pulled in all directions and maybe even lead to burnout, which we don't want during this season or ever if you're not careful. So I just couldn't help but think that also this is the perfect way for the enemy to get us all confused and distracted, bouncing around from thing to thing, not focusing on anything, hating this season where we're celebrating Jesus, right? That we're not getting things done in our business. We're, fighting with our family, like all of these things, because when we're scattered like that, we feel stressed and we feel pushed to the brink, and we do not need to fall into this trap. So I wanted to talk about how we could recenter ourselves, how we could bring it back and calm down and focus on the things that are actually important, because this is the season of peace and joy. So I wanted to talk about how we could actually embrace that peace and joy, still doing all the things that are important and that we need to get done, but do it from a place of being grounded in the peace that surpasses all understanding, being grounded in the truth that we're not doing this in our own power, that God is in control. We do not have to have it all together, and we don't need to rush. We don't need to worry. Yes, things are added to our plate, but in reality, we need to keep doing what we've been doing and make room for these other things, but they're not bad things. So I wanted to give 3 big ways that you can really intentionally ground yourself in Christ when you're feeling chaotic during the holidays or anytime. So number 1 is to set boundaries. So I did a series on this last year. You can go back and listen to that if you didn't get a chance then, or if you just want a refresher. That is episode 39, I think 40 and 42 or something like that. But setting boundaries is important, because what makes this time of the year so busy is all of the extra stuff, right? All the extra things. But in reality, a lot of these extra things we actually don't need to do. Or we don't need to do them to the level that we are trying to do them. So, really asking yourself, do you need to do all those extra things? Some of it is going to be a yes, right? But not all of it. So set your boundaries to protect the things that really matter to you most, and then say no to the other things, or watch how you're doing it. Like if you've got to send cookies to your kids, classroom party, do you really need to make them from scratch with all of the extra decorations and whatever? Or can you go buy some from Kroger and be done? Like, I don't know. I've never had a problem, like no shame at all about me not making stuff homemade. I'm like, yes, I bought it from Kroger and it's going to taste amazing. Or Publix. Maybe Publix is better for a bakery. Like, go to Publix, get your amazing stuff. And I'm like, you should be thanking me that I did not make you something, because I don't bake very well. Like, so I don't know. I just feel like I'm not not into that. But in reality, it's like at the end of the day, all that matters is the kids have cookies for the party. Do the kids really care? No, they do not. Caring about us baking it and having it look all amazing is for our own image and our own pride, honestly. So thinking about that, or if I have to get a book for my son's, he does homeschool, but he has like a little program he goes to once a week, and they are doing a book exchange. And I was over there looking on Amazon and doing all this stuff, and I was like, no. We are going to go to the Dollar Tree, or we're going to go to the Pop Shelf or something. We're going to find a $5 little book that he thinks is cool. Great. Wrap it. Done. I don't need to spend energy trying to get the most amazing gift for some book exchange that's anonymous. It's anonymous book exchange. So checking yourself to make sure you're not taking on more than usual because of societal norms. And this is another example of how our mindset, how we think about ourselves and what others think of us, it can start to come in and crowd out what we're supposed to be doing. So making sure that you are setting those boundaries to protect the things that really matter to you is really, really important. And I also want to say this can feel really hard, because if you've worked in a career for a long time and you are now home with your kids, one of the reasons that you wanted to be home and be your own boss is that you didn't want to miss out on holidays anymore. You didn't want to not do all the things. And I get it. But this is the part that we either didn't realize or we ignored about being our own boss, is that all of the work of a business relies on us, or maybe you might have a VA. So taking a month-long break sounds amazing, or even a few weeks sounds amazing. But then your business is going to come to a screeching halt. And if you're called to business, you're not stewarding the business well. So you've got to balance these things. So I'm not saying that you need to work Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or work around the clock. But in order to take off of work, you need to prepare for that time ahead of time by scheduling things or batching them or something. And so it can't just be one or the other. All of these things have to come together. But again, boundaries means these are the things that are important to me. Business, important to me. Family, important to me. Traveling to see my parents that I haven't seen, important to me, right? What are the things that are important to you? Whatever's not, kick it out of there. And then the things that are important but not like getting the gifts for your kids' class, make it minimum. Don't go all out on stuff like that, because you don't have a lot of time. And that leads me to tip number two, which is determine what is your minimum viable list. So the holidays really do add more to your plate. And some of those things really are important. We can't just throw them all off the plate. So with that being said, we need to figure out what needs to go there and what does not need to go there. So spending time celebrating Jesus, enjoying time with family, extra events at church, traveling to see family, all those things, like those are all important. But with all those extras, it can be easy. It can be so easy to do too much to where you feel completely overwhelmed and just throw up your hands and do nothing at all on your business. That's not good either. Yes, it's easier just to forget it until the new year because it's too busy and it feels chaotic. But God has called you to this business, and not doing anything is not being a good steward of it. On the flip side, with all of these other things happening, it's probably not the best time to try to sprint and create that course you've been meaning to create, or to do something big in your business to try to redeem the year. You're only going to be adding fuel to the fire or like making it worse. So so many people do this at the end of the year. They try to cram it all in. I've done this every year and I am refusing. I'm refusing to do it again because it doesn't make sense. And it's just a tactic from the enemy to get us out of sorts. And really, it's a hustle and a striving season of me trying to do it in my own power, right? Like if you're doing something like that, is it really because God's leading you to do it? Or is it because you're panicking that you don't have the revenue that you wanted, or you didn't do the things and you don't want to feel ashamed of it and blah, blah, blah. And all the mindset stuff comes in. And suddenly, because you're throwing yourself into your business, the product you create is not great and the timing is off. And not to mention, you've been grouchy with everybody around you because you've been working around the clock, right? So it is not the time to be sprinting and unless God's leading you to, that's different. But ask yourself why. So with that being said, let's evaluate and decide what are the absolute minimum things that your business needs to have to keep going, to be functional. So do you need to put out your weekly podcast episode and email your list each week? Is that it? Do you need to schedule out all your social posts? Do you need to pre-write a sales email for something that you're doing around Christmas, having some kind of end of year sale? Whatever it is, once you get clear on it, you'll be able to streamline what you're doing. So by that, I mean, maybe you can figure out that you need to batch all these things. You need to figure out the task you need to get done so that maybe you can take those 2 weeks off at the end of the year because you just get everything done and scheduled out. Whatever it looks like, figure out what that minimum amount of stuff is and then how many hours a week that you need to get that done, and then do that and don't try to add all the other things. Again, as always, anything I say on here, I hope you do this with everybody you listen to and every coach and every course creator, but pray about it and see if that's what God's wanting you to do. But in general, I feel like that advice stands. Just remember in this, again, just that reminder that God has called you to more than business. You're a wife, mom, friend, and more. And the holidays have a lot of asks in them right now, in those other buckets of life. And that's okay. But your business doesn't need to go to the complete back burner and not exist. Okay. So like that balance there. And that leads me to number 3, which is do a mindset and heart check. So if you're feeling frazzled, it probably means that your plans aren't going your way. Too much is happening. Like something's not right. You might be doing too much, not enough. You need to check in with why. Why are you doing the things that you're doing or not doing? Did you say yes to too many things? Are you doing them in your own power, striving, trying to make it happen instead of seeking God every day for strength and direction and peace? Praying during moments of feeling frazzled is crucial to maintaining peace. Remembering scripture that encourages you and gives you peace to know that God has everything under control. This will keep your focus on Him and not on all the things going on around you. Some verses that I love are Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take up my yoke and learn from me, because I am lowly and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Or Psalm 16:8. I always let the Lord guide me, because He is at my right hand. I will not be shaken. Or John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me and I in him produces much fruit, because you can do nothing without me. Having these verses, just picking one, whatever, those verses, another verse, whatever it is, having that to latch onto will help you recenter your mindset and your heart to make sure your mind is not focused on all the things in front of you, to make sure that you're not focusing on your own gain and your own pride and all of that, but you're focusing on God and you're leaning on his biblical principles, on his word, on his truth, and on him during this busy season. And the last thing that kind of goes with that is to make sure not to sacrifice your quiet time with God, because even just 10 minutes to read his word, pray, journal, get your heart and mind centered on him before the day can totally change your entire demeanor going through everything that you have, because the holidays can test us and we can feel like we wake up and we're like, go, go, go. But doing this, don't sacrifice that time with God, because we will just have peace and joy looking at all the things that he's given us and all the amazing provision that we have, and that we get to do this business, that we even have a business idea, that we have this calling that he's given us. We get to reflect on that, and it will ground us and bring us back down. So I want to invite you to join me for the Reflection and Intention event next week inside the Facebook community to intentionally look at what God has been doing and see why you don't need to rush through an imaginary deadline at the end of the year, but simply continue doing what you've been doing and trust that God is working, because you're going to see that he's been working. He's been doing all these things. It's going to help renew your belief that God is working through you, and all you have to do is keep working as you've been working, and to keep listening to him, but that he also has a calling for you in a number of areas, right? Motherhood, business, wife, all of that. And that it'll help adjust your mindset even in that event. So again, just go to mamawithacalling.com/community to join us in the Facebook group. And if you're in the Facebook group, then you'll see them pop up. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep pursuing your calling. Thanks for listening to the Mama with a Calling podcast. As always, you'll find the show notes for today's episode at mamawithacalling.com/podcast. Really quick before you head out, are you loving these episodes? To make sure this podcast gets in the ears of as many mamas as possible, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I'm going to be reading your reviews on the podcast, so I can't wait to hear from you. Also, if you know someone that needs to hear these episodes, grab a screenshot and share it on Instagram, and don't forget to tag me at Mama with a Calling so I can share it in my stories. Until next time, keep pursuing your calling.